Yo, what up? It's Roger from the Mascarilla podcast. Today we have a very special episode as we're celebrating the 4-year anniversary of Lil Peep's debut mixtape, Cry Baby. And on the podcast today, we'll have some of the collaborators from the mixtape, and along with and starting with Liza, Lil Peep's mom. What's up, Liza?
Hi, Roger. Good to see you.
Yes, and who do we have here in your arms?
This is Taz. He is Gus and Oscar's dog. Oscar and I actually voted against him, but Gus won. So that's we were cat people, and we ended up with Taz, but we love him.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good thing now that he voted in favor.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's wonderful.
So how's everything going back on Long Island?
Well, there's a lot of activity, and I think a lot of positive change is going to come with it. The weather's beautiful, and so people have been able to be outside. A wonderful march went right past the house. I got to come outside and cheer for everybody, and it was really wonderful. All
Great.
ages and all kinds of people. It was great. Yeah.
Incredible. So today, Wednesday, June 10th, if you go on your Spotify and Apple Music, you will be able to stream Cry Baby for the first time on those platforms.
Yep.
What was that process like, trying to get that project on those platforms? Why does it take so long? It's what the fans wanted for so many years. Can you let us in on that?
About that. Well, the neat thing about this project is that, actually it all started with clearing samples for the music to be in the film. So that's how I learned how to do all that, or what the process was, because I don't really do it. But so there are some tracks from this, from Cry Baby, but there's Hellboy and Live Forever and all of that. And I learned about how samples are cleared, getting sync licenses for the film. But the way we started, the process was that we needed to find out what the samples were, because the lawyer and the publishing expert that I work with, who contacts the publisher for the sampled artist, they needed to know. And so I had to write to the producers. I had to go into Gus's email and startle them, which I felt badly about, but I would put the subject heading, "Hi, this is Liza, Gus's mom, and sorry to bother you, or sorry to start, I don't want to startle you." And all the producers that I wrote to were lovely. Some of them said it was, whoa, it made them jump, because that's been his email for forever. And I was always the backup recovery person on it anyway. So it started with that, contact the producer. These are, that we're looking to clear for the sync license for this song, this track. But then Consuelo, the woman who I work with, who does all that, she designed a questionnaire. She said, because she discovered that some of the producers had done, worked with Gus across a variety of, projects, and there were a lot of songs. So she did a questionnaire. How many tracks did you do? What were the samples in each of them? So that we wouldn't have to go back to each producer for every track that we wanted to in the future, because my goal is to be able to release everything Gus released, in the way he released it. So that was how it all started. And so there were some that had already been, kind of started, and then it's just mostly Consuelo and writing to the publisher, and then they contact. There are some people who are still music artists, but some people are, like, one person is, I think, a high school teacher, and we had to sign, there are 5 people who are the people who are in charge of the song, they're the sampled artists. There's 5 of them. So we have to get all 5 of their signatures. on, to okay it. And sometimes they, there's a little bit of money here or a lot more money there, or, and just to get it cleared. And then you go from there, I think, pretty much, everybody signs and you're done.
Well, I'm sure the fans are incredibly grateful that you went through that painstaking process to get this project on streaming services. Let's go back in time, back to when Peep was actually recording the project. Because at the time, there weren't labels or lawyers or any samples, to be clear. They were just making music in this house in Pasadena. What are your earliest memories of this project and hearing from him that he was recording this?
Well, I mean, Gus was always making music. So when he was home, he was making music. He was kind of, he'd been in Denver, and we had a plan. I had a ticket that I bought for him to come home, and then in like the end of March or middle March, and then there was a big snowstorm and they couldn't get to the airport in time. So we missed the flight. I think he said, "Don't worry, Mama. Ghostmain has figured out a way to fly me to LA." And so he was like, "Okay, great, wonderful, way to go," And so they got back to LA, and then in early April, and then it was, "Mom, I'm staying back at, Brennan's house," where he'd been living with Brennan in September 2014 to go to Glendale Community College. So gone back there. Great. I knew I had that address in Amazon, and so it was, "Mom, I need underpants and money." And so it was just mostly getting him what he needed, Mom's stuff, and sending him the can opener and stuff like that. And then he asked if he could come home for a little bit to visit in May. And that was when, he told me how there were a lot of people, and he'd been basically sleeping shoulder to shoulder on the kitchen floor with, 10 other people, and that he was loving it, but it was crowded. And I think, I don't know why he really wanted to come home. Maybe it was just kind of crowded and he needed to recharge, at home. But, and then he made some more music when he was home. Oskar and I were both there. I think his grandmother was also maybe staying with us. I think at the time for a while when he came home. Oskar had just graduated college. And so the house was kind of busy. And so he took his laptop and borrowed a mic from, I think, Quinn Donovan, and went over to Tyler O'Connor's house in Island Park. And he was recording tons of music. And Tyler's dad was never home. And so it was always like fun. And the big sister would, fine. And so Quinn was telling me Gus kind of kicked Tyler out of, not in a mean way, but just ended up sort of taking over the room. So he'd record stuff there and bring it back and mix it at home. But yeah, it was, but he was just always busy, just a busy little bee making stuff. And he made Teen Romance, those 3 tracks there.
When he would record these songs and then come home with them, would you hear them coming out of his room, or would he play them for you? Or what was the process like of you hearing his music?
He never really played it for me on purpose. He played his music a lot. So it was always blasting out of his room, and his friends were always listening to it. And a lot of the time I would say, "There's too much swearing. It's too much, swear words." And or I'd say, "Oh, I like that one, Gussie. That's a nice one. I like that one." I Love to Live Forever. Those, in that era. But so and then in the nighttime when I would hear him. But I don't have any specific memories of these tracks, but he must have been mixing it at home. But maybe I don't know if he had some, because of the headphones, and he could do it because he recorded it there. So he was just mixing it. So probably just listening at night,
Right.
Just when he always worked in the middle.
So he eventually went back to Los Angeles. He went back to the house in Pasadena where he finished the project.
Yeah, well, he did the first 6 tracks in Pasadena, 4 tracks in Long Beach / Island Park. And then the last track on June 10, he flew back June 8. June 9, he flew back. And somebody else had bought him a ticket. And I didn't know who the name of the person was, but that person had bought him a ticket to fly back to California. And then he dropped it the next day, June 10. But the last track that he made, I want to say Skyscrapers. I got to double check, but yeah, that one he did on June 10th. That's the creation date on the laptop.
Do you remember seeing the White Tea video for the first time?
Oh, well, yeah, that was you. So that was, I said, I would Google Lil Peep, and check on him and see, because I had the Bandcamp. When he had Bandcamp, I would look and I'd buy, I bought his albums I call them albums, on Bandcamp.
Right.
And so it was $7 suggested, and I paid $10 to give him a little extra. And so I knew that. But then, then I didn't do SoundCloud. So I would sort of Google and look for like videos and stuff on YouTube. And so I Googled one day at some point in May, before he'd come home, and there was this masked gorilla, and I was like, who's that? Purple. And and it was this nice review of Young Bruh and this White Tea video, and I really liked that a lot. And I remember telling him, wow, that's good. Who's that boy? Oh, it's Young Bruh, Mama. He's, he was all excited about that. So, I remember that. And Oskar said, yeah, that's Roger. And I told Roger about it. And so it was a funny kind of full circle thing. I mean, he told me that he had told you about Gus.
Yeah, I don't know what I did in a past life to live this life where I start this hip hop website and the concert series, and then someone from my hometown moves 5 minutes away from where I moved to LA, and he becomes the biggest star of my scene. It's like, I don't know how that happened, but I lucked out, and I was at that house in Pasadena, and we released the White Tea music video on the Masquerilla website, and I wrote a little post about it. So after the project was released, his life kind of changed forever. What was the first moment that you realized, oh, this is real? He's not just like my son sleeping on the floor with 11 other people. He might be a serious musician.
Actually, I had that feeling a year before when he was doing Star Shopping, and when he had me get the T-shirts, and I had to pay like $900 to get a bunch of T-shirts, 100 T-shirts, I guess, in Island Park. Quinn drove him out there, and then I was sent to Staples to get the little things to send them in, and then Ian had to walk him over to the post office 1 block right from where we were on Walnut Street. And but I saw all these people ordering shirts, and I thought, this is, and I think I even was saying, you seem to be able to support yourself on this. And then he was selling T-shirts. Well, the first one with the skeleton, but then he started to sell these other Crybaby T-shirts, and he introduced me to the man that he was selling them with, and so that was getting him. I was like, wow, $900, that's all right, Gus, good for you. That'll pay for a rent with other people. And then he got the loft, which he was very proud of, telling me about the Skid Row loft. Very proud of that. So I just felt like, he was doing great. I was proud of him. And then some people bought him. He was all kind of like, Mama, these people are, so-and-so. And he gave me some names, and, Travis Mills, he said, is, he's, T Mills. And I'm like, oh. So, and then they flew him out to California. I was like, wow, who was the lady flying you out of California? So that was, and then I started to, it was like, whoa, slow down. What's going on here? So, but I was very excited for him. And I think he was excited when he was making Cry Baby.
Do you have a favorite memory of that time period of when he was making the songs?
In that 2016 April, May.
Right.
Well, he came home. When he came home, he came home May 22, I think, on a Sunday morning. I was still, school year still going on. So I got him on the red eye out of Bob Hope, which he and I knew well, that flight. And
right.
Yeah, and he came. He was home, and we had a picnic in the backyard for Oscar's graduation. Oscar didn't want to go and walk and do all that stuff, so we just it was just really nice to have him home and just be with him. And he seemed, happy and busy. It was intense, but it was really nice to have him home.
He was really on the cusp of his life being changed forever. Listening back now, what's your favorite song
on that album?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love White Tea, and I do love Cry Baby, but I will say that, and usually I don't have a favorite, but I really love Lil Jeep. I just love that song. I love the way it starts out, and I found the beat. It was one of 5 beats that Kian Patterson sent him, and
wow.
It had numbers, December 12-78 something, and he must have, because I don't think he ever used any of the other 4, and it's just so beautifully buttery smooth, and the way it starts, and then it's just so gritty, and and Emma used to climb in the window. I'm sorry, I have to say it. So I think about that. I never knew he was seeing her until New Year's Eve. The New Year's Eve before, and a friend of mine said, "I just saw a blonde walk out of Gus's room." No, girl, are you kidding? No, girl. Well, she'd been climbing in the window for like a year.
Oh my God.
So, I know what some of that's about. It's just, I love that song. It's intense, but also so quiet and peaceful at the same time.
I'm sure fans are going to want to ask this. The project is now on streaming services. There going to be vinyls? Is there going to be merch? Is anything else coming?
Well, I'm hoping, certainly one day, I would love this to be on vinyl. I want a vinyl. So, and
a nice white vinyl.
A beautiful, yeah, with that beautiful logo.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, I think he would be. I think he'd be proud and glad that this was happening, and I think he would love it if there were vinyls of this.
Yeah, I mean, Lil Peep Part 1 is probably just my personal favorite project, but Cry Baby is so important to me, and it's so important to this whole underground SoundCloud scene, and it was so important to Gus and everyone else in that house, that it just means so much, and for the fans to now have it on streaming services is incredibly important. So thank you so much for all the hard work that you put in over the past year and a half to get this done.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I really don't do much. It's a whole team of people who are the real workers. But yeah, I probably just stand with the keep going. So my pleasure, my great pleasure. More to come, I hope.
Yes, fingers crossed. And we are now going to hear from some friends and collaborators on the project. Liza, thank you again. And we got to do a full podcast sometime in the future when you're allowed to.
I would love to.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Ned, what's up, man? How are you doing? How are you holding up?
I'm chilling, just staying busy as I can during this pandemic and everything.
So we're coming up on the 4-year anniversary of Cry Baby.
Yeah.
Is it crazy that it's been 4 years?
Yeah, but at the same time, it does feel pretty old now. Like when I listen to it, it still holds weight and is amazing. But I'm like, damn, this was a long time ago. But yeah, 4 years, it flew by for sure.
Because in your life at the time, what was happening? You were living in Pasadena?
Yeah, I had just left college, and I was living on somebody's floor in South Central, and then I met Brennan and Peep, and then they just told me to move up onto their couch in Pasadena, and then around that time was when he was recording Cry Baby, and then I just happened to hop up in there, get on White Tea.
So White Tea ended up being one of his most popular songs to date, but at the time was also one of his first big songs, in addition to Beamer Boy, which you also produced. So
yeah, like California, the EP me and him did kind of was recorded around the same time, like one after another.
huh.
So yeah, like White Tea was made like a little bit after all those songs, but yeah.
So was there any idea that you were headed into this new project and he's recording songs for this new project, or was he just recording a lot of songs and
He was
up?
just recording a lot of songs always. I don't know if he ever knew which ones would go on a project and which ones wasn't, because sometimes he would release hella singles too all the time, but yeah, I didn't know it was going to be on Crybaby, but I think it was like the last song. Actually, no, I'm lying. I think I did know, because I think it was like the last song to be added, like one of the last songs to be added onto the album.
Huh? So
Yeah.
what, at the time, what were you influenced by when you were making those songs?
Well, yeah, for White Tea, I don't know what I was influenced by. I just like thought it would be cool to sample some like old indie type shit, like Postal Service, like indie electronic-y type stuff that would be on the radio when I was growing up on like the alternative rock station. And I was surprised nobody had done it already, because it was such an easy thing to loop. But yeah, I just thought it would be cool to throw some 808s on there. I think there was a lot of Black Cray produced. There was like a Black Cray song where they sample Tycho, and I thought that was hella cool, so I wanted to do something similar.
So when you were making the music, was there a lot of stuff out that sounded like Crybaby, or was this a new sound?
I think the only thing similar was like GBC music, like stuff with guitars and stuff, but there wasn't anything that sounded like the whole thing as a whole. Like, I don't think there was songs that sounded like the songs him and Smoke did, with like the heavy like bass synth lines and stuff. Nobody was really doing that at all, and definitely nobody was singing on stuff like White Tea. So I think for the most part it was very, very original. There wasn't a lot of stuff like it.
When you were making it, was there this sense of, oh, we're on brand new ground and we're establishing a new sound, or was it just we're friends having fun in our house?
I think more so the second one. I think we were just having fun making stuff. Didn't really know like how influential it would be at the time. But clearly, like I think it's pretty obvious that it's hella influential now. But yeah, I don't think we were really thinking about that when we were making it.
When you first started performing some of the songs live, was there pushback, or was there immediate love for the music, or?
No, I think it took a little bit. I remember there were some shows that Pete did. Like, I remember he was on tour with like Smoke Perp and like Fat Nick or something, and I remember like certain fans at this Orange County show were just not fucking with him. Like,
Yeah.
For the most part, they were like, "This is no energy," like blah blah blah. And then like a year or two later, at the same venue, like the whole place was for him type shit. So I think it live it took a little bit of growing, especially because he had to get better live too. he got really good at performing, like towards the end of his shit. So at the start, yeah, he was just learning how to perform, and it's hard to like amp up like slow, like
Right.
depressing ass songs, but he like figured out how to do it and put some energy into it.
So at what point did you realize that this project was special or these songs were gonna be streamed a lot? Like when did that first sign happen for you?
I don't know, just like when I just remember like uh, White Tee and Beamer Boy. At least for the songs I did, they were just getting hella views on YouTube. Like, and I never produced anything that got that many views. So I was like, well, this is like taking off. And then like if my stuff's taking off, the rest of it is gonna be. So yeah, I mean, pretty quickly after it picked up, and I thought it was cool, and like seeing all these like kids from other countries and like Russia and stuff commenting on everything. It was just like pretty mind blowing.
Do you have a favorite memory of living in that house and recording that project? Is there anything that really like sticks out to you, either about the song itself, or maybe it was just a funny night, or
Recorded the night White Tea was a cool day. It was just like it was cool because it was like the first day Tracy and Pete met. Everybody knows this story, and then they made the song and did the video all in one day, and everybody was home and everybody was supportive of it. It was cool. Like nothing really got in the way of like the process of making that song. Like, yeah, Kill was just there with a camera, and it was just hella organic. Omen was there chilling, and everybody was there. That day was cool. Yeah, that day was probably the one that stuck out the most. Just hella productive, and nothing bad happened.
if you could, would you want to transport in time and live that again, or is that a moment in time that happened and
Yeah, I don't want to go through that again. Yeah, it was cool to be a part of, but I don't want to. I don't ever want to be that poor again and like living on a floor. Like I just remember like having to be early. You would have to pass out early at like 9 or 10 to even secure a spot on the couch with like a pillow and a blanket, or else you would be like, or else you would just be on the floor with nothing. Like packed like sardines. And I remember like the bathroom, like the towel situation was fucked. There was just like a huge pile of towels, and like they all smelled so bad, and you would have to just fight for the clean towel.
No one was really doing laundry or cleaning the floors or vacuuming?
Nah, the house would get trashed, and then we would clean it. Like Brennan's a really clean dude, so
Yeah.
he would be cleaning up shit. But it was just like a lot. I don't think I would ever want to go back in time and like relive it.
I don't blame you.
But a lot of cool shit happened out of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What is your favorite song from the project?
19 for sure. Probably because when he made that song, and I was like on the East Coast in DC visiting some people, and I remember it was like the first day I took acid, and I was super high on acid, and he sent me that song, and I just thought it was like the greatest song of all time, and it's always stuck with me. Like every time I hear it, I like just love it. Me and Lederrick were hanging out the other day, and we listened to Cry Baby front to back, and yeah, that song just always sticks out the most to me.
But Derek, what's up, man? How are you doing?
How you been? Good to see you.
Good. How are you hanging in there in these crazy times?
Pretty good, man. Just gotta fight the power and shit. So
Yes, dude.
but,
So we're here today because somehow it's been 4 years since Cry Baby was released. How is that possible?
yeah, that's fucked up, but 4 years later, still alive and kicking.
Does it feel like it's been 4 years? Does it feel like it was forever ago, or it was just yesterday? Or
Yeah, it still feels like yesterday, bro. Like yeah, it feels like everything like froze at that moment, and like I don't know. But yeah, it feels like just yesterday. So it's crazy. It's been 4 years. Yeah, it's definitely not like, it doesn't feel like forever ago for sure.
So can you walk us through how were you living back in 2016 when this project was being recorded? Where were you? What was happening?
Like, basically at the time, like, I was just like doing some random shows with Peep around, like, you know, in Denver and shit like that, and like he had just told me, like, and my other homie just been like, yo, just come live with me in LA, and you guys can stay with me at my pad, and we'll just like make music and shit. And like, so I was obviously like down to do that, you know. I was like, that sounds like a good idea. So I just quit my job, left everything, just left all my shit, and was like, fuck it, I don't need any of that shit. I'm just gonna go like make music. And then yeah, so then we all ended up at Brennan's house in Pasadena, you know, and we would just make music like every day. And then eventually we just had a big collection of tracks, and the album was like done.
So when you started Cry Baby, you obviously had already worked with Peep, right?
Yeah, we made like a couple tracks at that point, but we hadn't made anything like really good yet. I feel like that was the first like shit we made together that was like actually hitting, you know. The other shit we were making, we were just like experimenting and shit like that.
Right. So like what changed in that process? Was there this goal of we're putting out this project and it's going to be this full collection of songs, or was it just more you were randomly making all of these songs together?
Yeah, I think it was just like a big shift in the energy. Like whenever we went from, I don't know, we kind of just all realized like that we had to like step it up, you know, because like he was just gaining like hella traction obviously at that point. Not like a crazy amount, but like from going from absolutely nothing to like any amount of traction feels like a huge jump, you know. So I think that jump combined with like all of us being together, all of us like just moving out to LA on a whim and being like, fuck it, we're just gonna just do this shit. And we had like no money, obviously. We had like no money and no like means to do anything. So we were kind of just, but we were all having like an amazing time every day and shit, you know? I think we were just having like so much fun, and like we were just making music that like the music just ended up like improving in quality like drastically because of just the like the situation. Like everyone was like having a good time. Everything seemed like new and exciting, and nothing was like jaded.
Right.
And we were in California in the summer. It was like beautiful out every day. Like all of our friends were there, you know. So it was just like a perfect storm of like a bunch of like awesome shit that all just reflected in the sound of the music, because it sounds like, you know, just good vibes. That the whole album is like kind of more like positive compared to like other shit he made in the future after that when shit was fucked up. So that was the album where like everything was like all good and everything was like fresh and new, and like we were all having a good time. There was no like drama, you know, that type of shit.
Yeah, and whether it's the music itself or it's the white tee video, it just feels like a happy time.
Yeah, you can just like the white tee video encapsulates perfectly like what we were all doing every day. Like that video is like shows like a window into that lifestyle of us just like all kicking it and like making music and videos and just like fucking around in the front yard like skateboarding and shit, you know.
So how many songs did you end up producing on the project?
I think I ended up producing like 4. I'm pretty sure either like, yeah, I think 4, honestly, I want to say. But I don't remember what the 4th one was.
What was the inspiration? Because at the time, there wasn't a lot of music out that sounded like that. Now everything sounds like it.
Yeah.
But what inspired you to make those songs?
Shit. I had always been listening to like indie rock shit, like that. I don't know. There was just a whole like. I guess honestly, like me, I used to listen to like Mac Miller a lot and shit, to be honest. And like he would always be sampling like indie rock tracks and shit like that.
Yeah.
but he wasn't really flipping. So I don't know. I was hella inspired by that, and just inspired by like trap music, and also there was a bunch of like just the whole like Sad Boys and like Young Lean and like Bones and all that type of shit. That whole wave was definitely just the aesthetics of it, you know, like, and just the like the bedroom pop, like, I don't know. I just thought that there would be like a place for that. And that was like every song I sampled too is like shit I listened to, like music I actually listened to. So I honestly, there was really no inspiration. Like, I don't really know. I was just like making beats and they just like ended up sounding like that. I don't really know. Like, I wasn't like really thinking like, oh, I'm going to like make this like emo.
Right.
I wasn't really trying to like do any shit, you know?
And like, I think that's the best part is that the music is so good because it's organic and it doesn't sound like you went in with this objective of, I'm going to combine emo and rap and it's going to be called emo rap. It just feels so, it's not forced. It's organic. It's just like when you listen to that project and you watch the YT video, you can, as a listener, almost transport yourself into that house and like imagine yourself sitting there and it's just like a bunch of kids having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, there was really no like, really no thought behind. There was just. Like I was making all those beats too at like 7, 8 a.m. I was like delirious, like, you know, just like fucked up, and just like it was just happening. Like that's just what was coming out. Like the sounds are just like coming out like that. Like the Ghost Girl beat has like 13 like layers of like. There's just like so much percussion and shit happening. Like normally, like no one would think that many like layers of percussion would like sound good on a beat, but I just like was just doing it because I was just like delirious, like, and I just had people over my shoulder like, yeah, bro, this is fucking crazy, like. So yeah, it just like that shit had me hyped up too, like him being involved in the process of like making shit with me, like definitely made me like more hyped up because just the type of person he was, obviously, you know, like I was excited to be there, like making shit with him. And that was really like what gave me the most. That's what kept me up to like 8 a.m. and like all that shit was just wanting to be like around him making shit and like, you know.
Is there a specific favorite memory that you have from recording the project?
We would just, I honestly think all of it happened like so fast. Like it's hard for me to really like articulate on a certain moment from it because it all just seems like a blur when I think back on it. Like
right,
it all just happened so fast. But like I just think the best part of it was me just like sitting in on everything being recorded. Like just for me, it's like just being there when all that happened. Like hearing him record all these like legendary verses and actually having been sitting there like next to him while he was like singing like shit that, you know, is like legendary. Like that's definitely something I'm grateful for because like there's maybe like one or two other people in the world that can like say that like they saw that or they were actually sitting there in that room, like because a lot, like, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people just like weren't there, and it's cool to like have been one of like 2 or 3 people that actually got to see like that full record, like a lot of these like iconic verses and shit that everyone knows, you know.
Yeah, that's like such an interesting point because if you look back on classic albums from bands or something, it's like, well, maybe they didn't record in the most high-end studio, but they were still in the studio and they had the entire band there and there was an engineer and their friends were hanging out. But it seems like a lot of these songs from Gus were like, no, it's 4 a.m. and like he's sitting over his mic on his computer and like it's just you and like everyone's asleep on the floor.
Yeah, with like a sock over the mic. Yeah, everyone would be passed out. Like, yeah, I was always down to stay up with him, like, yeah, hear him record and shit, and just, you know, try to be involved in like the process of, especially the tracks we were making together. I tried to like tell him what to say, tell him, oh, we should put this in the beat, or we should do this, or like I was trying to be involved, you know. I didn't just let him, even though he didn't really like he could do like so much by himself. I just still like to be involved in the process and actually feel like I was like producing the beat and not just like emailing him some shit, you know?
Right.
So it was cool to actually be like one of the producers that was actually physically involved in. And I think like you can hear the difference in like tracks I made with him as opposed to tracks like other people made with him. Like,
Oh yeah.
I feel like they have a unique sound compared to other tracks he made with like other people. But like I would say the same for every producer that made shit with him heavily has like their own lane of like within that sound.
Is there a favorite song that you produced on the project?
Yeah, definitely just like Cry Baby, because you know that shit's always gonna
Right.
be iconic. Like, you know, he recorded it like, I don't know. I like it too because like even my nephew who's like 9 can like listen to that shit and like, you know, it's not like
So cute.
it's not explicit, and I like that about it because it's like a track that you could play to like anyone and they would get it. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have such like heavy like dark themes, or it's not like super meta to like understanding his music to like be able to get that track. So I like that track for that reason.
Is there a moment after the project was released where it hit you that this was going big and it was happening? Like, is there something that stands out in your mind of like, oh, that's when I knew this shit was crazy?
Honestly, no, because like we were all still like, you know, we were still like struggling and shit, like broke as fuck. Like we were having such a good time, but like, I mean, it felt like, yeah, obviously there was like a lot of shit started to change and he started going up like crazy, but it definitely, it during those times where we were recording that, like for example, I remember like when we made Cry Baby, I was like, bro, this song's gonna like go crazy, like this shit's gonna get like 100,000 plays or some shit, and he was like, nah, bro, this shit's gonna get like 1 million like plays like through like. He was like, nah, bro, like it's gonna get 1 million, like, and then
Wow.
it's funny because now it has like probably over like, I don't even know how many hits plays, but an insane.
Like, I mean, like across everything, it has to have over 100 million, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. So
between everything.
it was like a super underestimate on my part. But yeah, I guess that shows that how much like hadn't dawned on us at the time for me to be like, bro, this is gonna get like 100,000 plays, like it's gonna be crazy as fuck, like. So they definitely didn't dawn on me till like, I think when it really like dawned, when shit really changed was like when he got the face tat. Like that's when everything went from being like, big to like just explosion, like, because people were like, oh shit, this fool is like not fucking around. Like,
I still remember someone, I think the first time I saw it was somebody from our hometown of Long Beach that we went to high school with sent me a text and was like, just, they were speechless and they didn't know what to say. And I was like, wow, if it's happening like this, like it's like already going like viral in like it's going to be everywhere soon. But yeah, that changed everything for sure. Can you speak on, at the time in the SoundCloud underground scene or whatever you want to call it, there was music that was maybe similar, but or maybe sort of similar, but nothing that sounded like what you guys were making. And when you released it, was there any pushback? Was it just this instant, oh, everyone loves it, or were some kids like not into it?
No, even bro, even till the day like Peep died, like people hated on him so hard, and like a lot of people forget that shit, like. But people hated on him like tough until he passed away, and then everyone obviously was like, "Oh, I love this guy." Like, but well, yeah, when he was alive, people hated on it. But like people hated on it, but anything that's like popping, people are gonna hate on. I think he understood that. It never was like, it really never like felt like the pushback was like anything like that we like gave a fuck about, you know. It was just like whatever, who cares if people think like negatively about it? It doesn't really matter because there's hella people. If there's a bunch of people that like it, then who cares? But yeah, with Peep and shit too, though, like I feel like a lot, like a big portion of why he like was so successful initially was just he had that style that he had was like, for like as far as like fashion and the way he looked and shit. It just like solidified everything because it made him like look like genuine and like real when you actually saw him. And no one, and at that point, like no one looked like that. Now like everyone fucking looks like that.
Right.
obviously everyone looks like that. But at that time, people were like, holy shit, like this kid looks like, I've never seen someone looks like this. Like, this is crazy. Like, this kid's style is like a style that he has colored hair and face tattoos. Like, that's fucking insane. Like, I can't believe that he actually has colored hair and face tattoos. Like, and I don't know, whenever I discovered him, I was already making music that sounded like that before even Peep was even making music at all. So, but whenever I saw Peep and I heard he was making that music, I was like, this makes sense, because this kid actually, like, when I very first discovered his shit, which was like probably when Beamer, like even before Beamer Boy was like even released, I was just like hip to like all that like underground shit, because I was obviously directly involved like with people that were like in that scene from like very early on. So I just saw him when he was basically like just posting his shit, like just getting like the smallest amount of traction, and I just remember thinking like, damn, this kid actually is like the real deal. He actually has like, he's making this music, but he actually like is this music too. Like, if you look at the way he looks and his style, it's like he's not faking it, you know?
Right. So, I mean, with that being said, 4 years later, what do you think the impact of that project is now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I think it's had a big impact, like much bigger than I ever would have thought. Yeah, obviously it paved the way for a lot of artists, I think, that use that sound like in the mainstream and like underground scenes. So, but I don't know, I just think it's like a special album, because even though there's a lot of people that try to make shit that sounds like that, there will never be like another album that's like that, you know, despite how many people try to like recreate it, you know?
Right.
So I think,
and I think,
cool thing
yeah, like that's the thing too, is that Crybaby is what it is because it was the first like full-on experimentation with that sound at that level, and you can't, unless someone took a time machine and made it before him, like it's never going to have the impact that it had, because that set the tone and it set the trend.
Yeah, it would be it's like the first like reggae album being made or some shit like
Right. Yeah.
Well, this is like a whole genre now. Like, it's, everyone knows about it, you know, there's like, everyone knows about that genre. Everyone makes that shit. Like, I don't even make music like that anymore because I'm just so over it. But yeah, it'll definitely always have like a big impact on the music world, I guess. I think everyone like has heard it at least once.
Oh yeah.
Classic.
And it's very crazy to think, you were saying that it's hard to pinpoint a specific memory because it all happened so fast, that Hellboy was only a couple months late. It was only a couple months later. It sounds wrong even saying that, because it's like, how is that possible? But maybe we'll be doing another Zoom on the 4-year anniversary of Hellboy. But dude, thank you so much for coming on, and we should do a full Masquerella podcast sometime.
Yo, that'd be tight, man. Yeah, let me know.
And maybe once like the coronavirus is over,
yeah,
we can
if that ever happens,
link up if it ever happens, like in 2 years from now, we can actually hang out
2021
in my office.
2021, I'll be on there. All right, bro. Have a good one, man.
All right, man. Stay safe, bro. Oscar, what's up, man?
Roger, how you doing?
So for everyone who doesn't know, Oscar is Lil Peep's brother, his older brother, by how many years?
2.
By 2 years. And
yes.
You just moved into a new apartment in Brooklyn.
Yeah, everything's still like in suitcases. I can't show any of it.
How are you holding up? How's it going?
I'm doing all right. I mean, like, the city's recovering, you know, slowly but surely. It's a pretty crazy time. So I'm just trying, like, I'm grateful that I have things to focus on during this time that, you know, don't bring me too much stress. Like, mostly just excitement, frankly.
Right.
I'm really excited about this. So, but I mean, it's a stressful time, right? So I'm just grateful that I'm not like, you know, like a lot of like my actual life isn't falling apart in this situation.
So that's good to hear. And right now we're
Yeah.
speaking because today is the
Yeah.
4-year anniversary of when Gus released Cry Baby.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Does it feel like it's been 4 years? Does it feel like it was yesterday? How does it feel?
Well, a lot has happened. I mean, it kind of feels like it's been 4 years, maybe even more in a way. But it also kind of feels like yesterday. But I don't know. I would definitely trend towards more of like saying it feels like it's been like a really long time. And because you know, that was ages ago for me. It's a different world for me. Gus being around and making music, releasing music. But it's so nice for us to be able to like still work with that, you know, work with his brand and with his music and bring it out to the fans and, you know, just have a way to interact with his legacy that helps, like, especially like finding positive ways to do that. It really makes life worth living. So,
Wow.
it's you know, it's a different world. It's been like an eternity, a lot more than 4 years to me, but you know, events like this definitely mean a lot.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I feel the same way where I can put myself in my mind in that house again where he recorded the project like it was yesterday. But then at the same time, obviously so much has happened to where it feels like it was 40 or 50 years. Like I was like, I can't even, it's like I can put myself there and then like I can't even imagine, you know, that whole time period again. But so when he was recording Cry Baby, you were just graduating college.
Yeah, basically. He had really like during that year made like serious strides with like who he was working with, how seriously he was taking it, and like putting together a lot more real, like serious tapes throughout 2015. And then boom, like 2016 comes around and like that's his biggest one yet. So yeah, I was kind of surprised to see it. Like he totally had it together. I didn't have it together. I mean, I was like, all right, nice, I'm done with college. That was what it was. And damn, you're really on a roll, Gus. Good for you. That's when I first started getting into making beats and stuff. And he definitely inspired me a lot with that. He was like coaching me along with that in the beginning.
Because I remember your Facebook posts at the time, because we were Facebook friends, and I remember posts that you would make that were like, "My brother's a superstar," and you would post a photo of him performing at the Hamlet Everything concert. And I think that's the incredible part of this whole thing is that you and your mom were just so supportive from the start, and it was never like, "Oh, you're wasting your life. What are you doing? Come back!" Like, it's like, you were supporting every step along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, I could tell he was building like a career for himself. It was very clear. So there was a lot that I didn't really know about how it worked. So there wasn't really that much advice I could offer. That's why, frankly, like I bring up me getting into making beats at that time, because I'm off at college, like studying geography, very like not really that focused. Really, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing with myself. And you know, as Gus is like really making big steps in music, I wanted to find some way to, you know, other than just listening to like similar music to what he was listening to, talking with him about it, listening to his stuff. I wanted to like try and find a way to engage, like to understand his profession a little bit. So that's why I had started doing that in the interest of like one day collaborating with him and or just like being able to like help him from kind of like the background, really.
Because how would you hear his music? Would it be when he posted it to SoundCloud, or would he send it to you in a text? What was that process like?
Honestly, some of it would just be out on SoundCloud, and then I would, that's a funny thing to remember. Like it would be out on SoundCloud, and I'd just like notice it, and like a fan, I'd be surprised and be like, oh, okay, there's a new song. But then there were a lot of times where, like back, especially earlier on, I would go on his laptop and like take it out of iTunes and just like literally look at what he was working on, because like, I don't know, like I knew how to like dig through all that. So yeah, and just send it all to myself. So like I didn't even have to, like he would be out of the room for a little while, I'd just go and do that. Like I didn't even have to like have the time to listen to them in there while he was gone. I just like nabbed the files, and then
it's like the classic older brother snooping around his younger brother's room. However, you were snooping around the soon-to-be superstar's laptop. So it's a little kind of like kind of a twist on the classic older brother, younger brother scenario. So when he was recording Cry Baby, I bet it was. I'm sure fans wish they could have heard that stuff first. But so when he's recording Cry Baby, did you notice a shift in how he's approaching his music, or he's taking it even more serious, or what was it like around
his
those
beat
months?
Selection's getting better. I mean, that's like something that isn't necessarily about the process. That's like just, you can see that in the results of the album. Like everything sounds cleaner. His voice just like, he picks tracks that will really, really suit his voice. I think starting with Cry Baby, he gets really, really good at that. But like his process at the time, like he never really recorded around me. That's the thing. Like he was a night owl. The way he would do it is he'd just be in his room, and he'd go until like 4 or 5 in the morning, maybe just not sleep at all. But he mainly waited for opportunities where I'm pretty sure where like me or my mom, like we both wouldn't be able to hear. So yeah, I don't know what it was. He would like record in front of friends, like that would be staying over till like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something. I think it was probably just like an element of like, I don't know, like built-in stage fright or something, like embarrassment. Like I can't like be Pete with you looking at me, bro, get out of here or something. Except for he never said that. He just like subtly, quietly, like, I mean, I would usually just kind of like go to sleep at least around like 3 or 4, when I was like 22, being an idiot, hanging out in there. We were just chilling all night. But like, I didn't have it in me to like stay up till like 8 a.m. or not sleep at all. And he would just like do whatever he had to like get into his little private space where he could, I mean, he really found his way into like that part of his soul where, I don't know, when you're just like alone on a walk somewhere, or like alone driving, or just like alone, not only in space, but you have some time too, time and space. And you're just more, your like unadulterated self. So I think that's what he was really trying to tap into. Like, it's definitely better for an artist, or better is very subjective, but it can do a lot for an artist to tap into that state for sure.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting you say that, because I just spoke with Lederrick, and Lederrick mentioned that a lot of the songs he recorded with him on the project would be in the house in Pasadena, and people are passed out on the floor, and it's just Lederrick and him.
Yeah.
And, that's like for sure like a very interesting point, that even when he was in his home with you guys, he was still like in his room.
Yeah. No, it was a private process. Like, that's why I really can't tell you exactly how much of it was even recorded at home before he goes out to LA not long after I get home from college. But yeah, it was fun because I'd hear the songs the day after if he was that like confident in them. Sometimes, I mean, again, I don't know about this. I only am speculating, but I'm pretty sure there were ones that he would like make and then like not be fully confident in, go back to a few times before you would even share it. Because he definitely like would be up some nights working, and he didn't just like share everything right away. But then there'd be times where like, boom, he just like have some shit for you. And the best was, honestly, I know it's not Cry Baby, but as far as like how he like Gus sharing music with me, or me hearing it for the first time was one of his songs with McConan. He came home and just like put that on repeat. Literally kept it on for the entire day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. He was certainly living in his moment. It was really fun because we had, been listening to McConan for a while. So that was.
And at that point, he was that was 2017, I assume, and he was probably, I assume, also way more comfortable with who he was as a musician and more comfortable in front of you and Liza. Liza shared a story of during the Cry Baby sessions, he came back to Long Beach, and it was your graduation party in
in the backyard.
It was in your backyard, and there's like photos of that.
I was bummed. I wasn't proud of myself. I wasn't proud of myself. That's why I was bummed.
Why?
It was a graduation party. I just like I felt kind of lost at that time, man.
Oh, okay. So, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's
the first thing that comes to mind.
But
sorry, go ahead.
From me on the outside looking in, it's such an interesting thing because you see this photo and he has the face tattoo and his hair is freshly pink and like he's on the cusp of becoming Lil Peep, but he's back home. He's with his family. He's eating eating a fucking hot dog. Like, is there anything from that weekend that you remember, or what was it like seeing him come back? Was that the first time you saw him with the face tattoo?
I don't think so, honestly. He had just been really stacking up tattoos at such a rate that, like, I remember when he got his face tattoo, I was kind of shocked, but part of me, like, I don't know, it would normalize very quickly for me. But I can't, a lot of my specific memories about like the first time I saw something are a little bit blurred. Like I can't really say exactly when that was.
Right. And it just all happened so fast too.
Yeah, it really did. Like that's the thing, he's still, like you said, 2017, he's more comfortable as an artist and everything. And he definitely is. He's already had like a career that like has kind of taken like multiple different turns in a way at that point.
Right.
Even though he's like not even 21 yet. So yeah, like in the summer when he's coming home playing that song, he hasn't even turned 21, and but he's still not like making music in front of us, or like I mean he doesn't really want those worlds to collide, like we would come home and just like want to relax, and I think he really liked keeping things kind of separate. I don't know, that some people prefer that.
And like I think that's always was the most interesting window that I had into him, was somebody who grew up in the same town as him and went to the same high school and knew you. And then, but he knows me from Mescalero as well, and having a foot in each world. And it was always just like such an interesting to hang out with him and to speak about Long Beach, or to like, it would almost like take him out of like the Lil Peep, and it's like, oh, like he can just talk about East End pizza, or you know what I mean? And like, but I for sure see why those two things would maybe be like separate, because you can't be this mega superstar when you're at home eating a hot dog and like you're
Well, I mean, honestly, you can, like Lil Dicky does it, but like
it's actually, I love that show, by the way.
Yeah, I do too. I've been watching.
I can't wait for the second season.
It's funny as hell. But like that's the thing though, Gus, when you're aiming to like have that persona as like a
larger than
star,
life,
like you don't want those worlds, you don't want to allow those things to blend as much, or to be honest, I think it's just going to like take people a while to get comfortable with how those things blend. Because I think older artists, from what I notice, manage to put those things together in really nuanced ways that don't really feel like, I don't know, you'll just hear people mentioning like where they like to eat in songs all the time. And it's like, it's pretty casual. Like like people get casual as musicians past the point, I think.
Right.
And I don't think he felt like he was there yet. Like he couldn't get on a song and just like joke around with it. That wasn't who he was. Yeah. Or like not necessarily joke around, but even be like that transparent, like talk about his favorite, like I don't know, his hometown as much, or he hadn't explored that yet. Like some people do that differently too. Like some people, like I don't know, write like very long lyrical raps with like just like straight up details from their past experiences. And he never really, like, he didn't do as much of that either, like as far as like storytelling style. Like I feel like that whole style of like lyrics is kind of like in the past anyway, a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. And
Yeah.
I think that's the whole thing, is that he was, and that's the incredibly tragic part about the whole situation, is that he was on the cusp of really slipping into this really comfortable like lane of being this larger than life figure who is unapologetically himself. And like that's that's when like the breakthrough project was going to come. That's when the worlds were going to collide. That's, you know what I mean? And unfortunately we didn't get to see that step of the process.
People seem to figure out that balance with time. It takes a lot of time though. Like you're still like, you know, I feel like you're still young in the sense that you probably wouldn't really, like, one is still young in the sense that they wouldn't really like I sense worlds colliding all the time, and I'm 25. I don't know. I'm sure it still happens till you're like fairly old and like experienced in your career. But he was definitely like becoming more comfortable in what he was doing. He had a long way to go with that too, though. Like I know he definitely had compartmentalized those things a little bit. And I know he wanted to, like I could sense his energy change past the point when he would like work on those things very separately for like the first 2 years of his career. And then I feel like in the last year of his career, that's when he was really trying to bridge that gap and like bring everything together. Tours. Yeah.
So I guess to circle back to Cry Baby, more, I guess, light subject. Cool. Looking back on the project 4 years later, what do you think the impact of that project was in the greater music landscape?
Sheesh. The impact in the greater music landscape. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's really like his first big statement release, in the sense that like to me, I think that the beat selection is a very important thing in this genre. And I think he nailed it there, and he continued to nail it. From then on, he was always good at it to begin with. He showed like the talent and the potential with it, but he would experiment a lot earlier on. And then I think he really just started to figure himself out with Cry Baby. And that's influenced, a lot of what's come since. Like I could name countless songs that use guitar in a way that reminds me of Gus in general. But like if we're going to talk where that stems from, it's Cry Baby is when he first really like popularizes and like, I don't know, he just like nails like the singing over guitar. Like, and we, you know, it reminds me of like how much we listened to RHCP when we were kids, because a lot of the guitar riffs give me like a very like heavy vibe of them. And then honestly also the way that his voice interacted with it, like he kind of like I think channeled a little bit of like Anthony Kiedis with that to me every now and then. I mean, there's so much more influence to it.
Album is on streaming platforms now, and I understand there's some merch that's out. What's up with that?
Yeah, so based around his original White Sea, which there we go. That's It's my favorite song from
There's the favorite song. There we go. We
the
finally
tape,
got it.
Or what was originally a tape. And yeah, no, so it's like the merch collection is based around the white tee, and we have, reproduced the traditional white tee that he made. Like, I think he made like 25 of those himself, just to have,
Crazy.
like, not to sell originally. Yeah. And then, but yeah, so we've turned that into a crop top. We have a onesie. I'm
Wow.
trying to provide different kinds of items, because I mean, t-shirts are fun, but there's going to be a little bit of that every time. So I just have fun mixing it up, and there's some cool stuff available. I'm trying to think if there's. Oh, we have a hoodie. We have the crop top, the onesie, the tee, and the baseball cap, the same as the one that he originally made. I knew there was something I was missing. It's got like the pink embroidery for the dove on a white cap. Everything's white. Just again inspired by the t-shirt. Just simple, crybaby dove on like the left chest pocket area of most of these designs. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I speak. Yeah. What was that?
Oh, I was saying I'm just, trying to keep it consistent with his original work, really.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I think I speak for the fans that we're all so appreciative of you and your mom for keeping his music alive and his legacy alive, and putting in all the work that it took to clear all these samples to get these projects officially released. So thank you so much, man.
Of course. I mean, thank you guys for caring about him so much. It's what makes this a community and something that, I don't know, it helps us. It helps us hold on to the memory. Without you and everyone else, it would be much harder to do. So thank you.